Okay, so we should still be on this screen for our second lesson in getting to know Unity. And what we're going to do is we are going to now create our terrain. That would be like the grass and everything like that, just to get us onto a bit of a world. And to do that, we need to put in a game object. So we go to game object here, and terrain's obviously 3D, so we need a 3D object. And it's got all the basic things in there. And what we want to do is put in terrain. If we have a little look around the map, see it's just underneath us. And it's quite big, actually, our terrain. It's not small, they don't like to skimp. You can obviously make it bigger or smaller, but there we go. And as I said before, the inspector's got all these other options on here. What we do need to do, however, is set up some assets. Now, what I mean by that is, if we don't set up some textures and things like that, this is just going to stay white. So what we need to do is copy and paste from the student share and a specific folder called Unity Assets that you have access to into your asset folder. And I'll show you how to do this now. If I click on the My Documents section, and you'll see we've got this PC here. And I'm also going to right click and open up my documents. So you'll have this PC and your documents. Now I can see student share, you can see one called Unity Assets, which is what you will need to go to. I will have to search for it. You should just see Unity Assets in your this PC folder. And what you need to do is from this area to the one that's got your name tutorial, to the assets folder. You see it's got the new terrain. This is what you need to do. You need to copy your tutorial folder from here, right click and copy, and right click and paste. Now I'm going to pause the video because this could take a few minutes to get set up, and when you click back in Unity it will need to sort that out. So I'm going to pause the video while we get that sorted. Okay, so when the assets are finished importing, you'll see a folder down here called tutorial. And that means everything is in here, but it would be a really good time to save now. So if we go File, Save the Scene As, and that's this individual scene here. And we're just going to call this Scene 1. And it's actually created something else down in the assets here. And save the project as well. So there's two things to save. Save the scene, save the project. Now, what we want to do with this terrain, so I'm going to left click on it to select the terrain, is first you want to make it a bit more interesting. It's a bit flat at the moment. Now this first tool is making it raise and lower. And it's got lots of different brush shapes. So if I go on here and left click, so we've got a nice big point. I can make it high in different areas. I can make the opacity of the brush lower, which means it's not going to go up quite as fast. We can make the brush size a bit smaller, or we can change the shape of it so it's nice and small, but you see it's nice and bobbly now. Sometimes you have to scroll forward quite a long time before it starts moving forward that much, but there we go. A nice bobbly terrain here. Make it go up like a star. There's all sorts of different ways you can make the terrain change. So we've got a nice basic one here. The next two we're not going to mess around with too much. This is paint height, so it'll make everything the same height. And this is smoothing the height, so we don't need to worry about either of those. What we do need to do is the paint texture. And this is why I've imported some assets. Because we need to tell the terrain which textures to use. And they're actually saved in this tutorial folder here. So if I click Edit Textures and Add Texture, it's going to come with a little box here with Add Terrain Texture. We're not going to worry too much about normals at the moment. This is just a way of faking the way the light bounces off it. But what we are going to do is use an albedo texture. So if I select on the select button and have a look down, you'll see we've got lots of textures here. And the one we want to use is Ground 1, Ground 01. Use that one. You can use either of these two, it doesn't matter which one. Double click. and then add, and you'll see straight away all of the terrains turn green. It's the only one we've got, so let's put it onto everything. Let's have another texture. Edit textures, add texture, select, and let's go for ground 2. Ground 02. And what we can do, add that one. And it's not put it anywhere yet because we've not told it to put it anywhere yet. Let's get a brush, let's get the brown, and then we'll just paint it on. See the opacity is quite low, so put that up. A huge amount, let's try the target strength. And then there we go, more brown, we can make the size larger or smaller. So you can have a play around with all sorts of different textures that you've got. If you want to add another one in as well, it should be a third one, your ground 03. Let's actually select it, ground 03. There you go, all sorts of different textures into the scene. Next bit, let's put some trees in it. Let's make it look a little bit more interesting. It looks like a golf course at the moment. So click on this tree section, and exactly the same as the textures, we edit textures, add tree, and this time we're selecting a tree prefab, which is a pre-made tree. If I click on the circle, it will show me all of the things that can be used, and what we want to use is some of these trees. So tree 01 will be fine, and add. And I'm going to do the same again, go for tree 02, and let's do tree 03 as well. So with these, you can add them the same way that you painted the texture by just selecting whichever one here and click it, but I'm going to mass place trees, which is going to randomly put them across the map. We don't want 10,000, we only want 1,000 in here, and don't put too many in because it could end up crashing Unity, so 1,000 should be fine, and then place. And what it's going to do, it's going to place a mixture of the 3 types of trees across all the terrain. And there we go, that's how to put trees in. Finally, we want to put some grasses in. We click on this flower, this is details. So exactly the same way, edit details, add grass texture this time, and then we click on the circle to find any grass textures that we may have. Let's go for grass front. Let's pick this one here. Yeah, on there. And add. And then this has got the brushes, same as paint the terrain. We click where we want it to be, and it puts some grass onto the scene. So there we go. This is what we can do to make our whole scene a bit more interesting. If you're too soon down, you can't see, come on. But it's a bit more interest in what's actually going on, a few more assets to make it look a bit more like real land. I'm going to pause the video now because the third one we're going to do is putting in a character.